We are powerful beings. We're amazing creators. A lot of people are used to creating in that particular container and they use all their life force in there. And so we have to be able to formulate something that is outside of the containers which society have taught us, whether there was trauma that caused us to shut down and make us believe that we weren't a priority or that it wasn't safe to express ourselves.
Welcome to Collective Guidance with your host, Charla Goodnight. I am so excited, you guys, about this episode. I want to tell you, in spring of 2014, I discovered a spiritual-based talk show called Beyond the Ordinary with host John Burgos. I listened to this show almost every night from 2014 to 2019. It helped me through a divorce and immense physical pain. This show kept me grounded in what is real, love. And today I am so honored to have my guest as John Burgos. Burgos, is it Burgos? Did I say that right?
Burgos. Mm-hmm.
Burgos. Yeah, Burgos, to join me today. John is a visionary guide, an internationally recognized speaker devoted to awakening us to the extraordinary within us all. As the creator and host of Beyond the Ordinary show, it's a pioneer platform that has reached millions through conversations with world's leading spiritual teachers, some of the most amazing teachers. And John himself has become a trusted voice at the intersection of ancient wisdom, modern consciousness, and real world transformation. As the initiator of transformation, John helps people access higher states of awareness and return to their soul's innate intelligence. His work bridges mysticism and grounded practicality, creating communities that empower collective awakening. Whether on stage, on screen, or in intimate retreats, yes, he hosts his retreats. John doesn't just talk about transformation, he activates it. His message is clear. The extraordinary isn't something to chase. It's who you are waiting to be remembered. John, I am beyond grateful and excited to have you join me on Collective Guidance. Truth is, I am never, ever, ever starstruck because I'm like, people are just people. It doesn't really mean anything. But being that your show provided immense healing and remembrance and got me through some of the toughest times of my life, I am a little starstruck. So thank you so much for being here with me and for sharing your wisdom on Collective Guidance.
It's such an honor to be here, truly, and really your introduction and the stars. It's really quite beautiful when someone meets us where we are and we're ready to expand into, and when we form the bond, whether I'm talking to one person or thousands of people on the call, when it strikes that chord, something in us feels acknowledged, remembered, motivated, and seen. And whenever that happens, that connection, that bond forms. And so what you're reflecting back to me is just it's our capacity to translate into words and action in a vibrational state of being, if you will. That's very grounded, in how we can really acknowledge each other on the journeys that we're going through, and hold each other in that highest potential that's available. And that's what we do through the show.
Yeah, your show is amazing. And for those who are meeting you for the first time, how would you describe Beyond the Ordinary, what that really means, not just as a show, but as a way of living? As a way of living, because I feel like your show, it's called Beyond the Ordinary, but it really is about living beyond the ordinary. So tell us about that.
Oh wow, The inspiration for the name, it just came to me. I was sitting in a restaurant. I knew I was going to be starting a show. I had no business starting a show 13 years ago because I didn't know what I was doing. But everything in me told me, I had guidance that told me it's time to start a show. I didn't know what I was doing next. I was leaving a job that I had been in for 4 years, being paid well, but that time was up and I knew that I was supposed to guide something. And my inspiration is like, how do I share this? Everything that I've learned, what I've grown through, how much I have changed because of these awarenesses and these tools and these practices. How can I share this with the people who I know who don't have this languaging or the context for what I've learned over the last few years? It's like my life has changed so dramatically. I've opened up to another world that has really liberated these places where I felt contracted and didn't know why. Um, and so the name just dropped in beyond the ordinary. And what it means to me for the speakers that I invite to the show, it's like, what's the topic for what we're sharing in this particular season? What's the motivation? It's like, well, it's always beyond the ordinary. Where are you now? And what are you expanding into? Because we're always learning to see from different vantage points as we expand our perception and our consciousness. So beyond the ordinary for me is really a translation of how can we witness more awe and wonder within ourselves and within the world. And when we experience that within ourselves, we're open to experiencing that within the world, or when the world motivates us, whether we travel somewhere or have a beautiful connection with someone, or just something just opens up that inner child in us that just can't help but to feel the magnificence of what we're witnessing and interacting with, what becomes available through us. And so beyond the ordinary is in essence about the awe and wonder that we're constantly, and I don't think we'll ever stop in this human form in our incarnation, being available to experience even more awe and wonder in this world.
Yeah. You've shared that a major awakening happened to you around midlife, like around maybe 40. What was happening internally and externally right before that happened and that shift?
Oh gosh, you know, I had done the prescribed thing that we're supposed to do in the Western world. I grew up as a child of immigrants, and my parents immigrated from South America. Dad's first job was mopping floors at JFK Boulevard. Mom worked in a sweatshop as a seamstress sewing zippers on pants. We came from nothing, and as a child from immigrants, it's like, okay, it's we're taught, let's create the success that our parents were chasing here in this new world. So the whole job growing up was to fit in and to somehow do success the way that we're taught to do it. Go to school, get your education, get married, have kids, show that you're successful, buy the house, have the car, and outwardly express I was doing pretty good, successfully, but something in me felt empty. And a big part of it was that I was extremely empathic, very sensitive, very psychically attuned, even though I didn't know to call it that. But I didn't know what to do with it. And I was ostracized for my sensitivity, almost seen as a feminine quality, especially in the places that I grew up. Again, very Latino, but I grew up in very rough neighborhoods in New York City, where so everything's like you have to be very manly and very macho and carry yourself a certain way and project success in different ways. But I never quite felt like I fit in. It never quite landed for me. And I had amazing epiphanies all throughout my life, psychic dreams that would come in, just knowing things. And I didn't know what to do with them. It's like, oh, okay. And I'd push them aside because they weren't how I was supposed to be. And then around my late 30s, early 40s, something just kept bubbling in. And this curiosity about other worlds started to come in, life after death. Interest in getting psychic readings, and I'd give myself a psychic reading once a year just as a birthday gift. It's like, oh, this will be interesting. And I started developing like this need to start going into the bookstores and sit at the bookstore and read through the sections that dealt with psychology and mysticism and what we would call, woo woo. But I scoured books. I was absorbing information left and right. And again, I didn't know what to do with it. And I was guided to hire a coach, a mentor, really, because I felt stagnant. I owned my own business and I wanted to take it to another level. And I felt stuck in it. I didn't know why. And I was trying to fit into the prescribed box. It made sense to me now why I wasn't taking off in the way that I hope it would. Like I wasn't breaking a glass ceiling. I kept spinning and nothing would break through. And when I hired this coach, and she was amazing, she'd worked with executives at Starbucks, executives at Nike, Hollywood directors, and she was a client of mine. So it's like, I'll reach out to see if she'll work with me. And she agreed to. And we started with business coaching. Within about 4 sessions, she's like, what do you think if we went a little more personal and went to some spiritual work? And we did. And we went through a couple of significant processes that just cracked the dam open. And when it opened, there was just no turning back. My intuitive capacities just blew wide open. It was just unmistakable. There was no second guessing it. Nobody could deny this in me, no matter how woo they said I was. I had to start meditating every day. My kids were making fun of me because now I was meditating all the time. I had to eat a certain way, and they were making fun of me because this was before Whole Foods was popular and organic foods and all that. I would drive 35 minutes to the Whole Foods in Houston, Texas, when I had a grocery store 5 minutes away. They're like, "What are you doing?" It's like, this is the way I have to eat now. It's like my body is calling for it. For Charla, I started seeing energy around people. I started having prophetic dreams on a daily basis. Every night I would dream about something, and 2 to 3 days later it would come through. I would know things about people that I was attuned to before, but the clarity of it became so pronounced, and there's just no holding it back. Again, I say the dam broke open. There was no containing the flood of information that was streaming through. And it wasn't information just for information's sake. It was alignment. It was showing me where truth really lied and where distortions, where I built foundations in my life based on distortions, either because I didn't want to see something, because I was afraid of what that would mean, or I was taught not to make myself available to something because of the interpretation of that based on other people's opinions. And all that crumbled. From that point on, once you have that connection to the divine, you can't deny the divine. A lot of people talk about religion and God, but they deny it in their actions and how they treat themselves and how they treat others and how they treat their finances, of how they treat their body with the food that they eat, that they could help. Some people can't because of different ways that they were patterned. I have a lot of compassion for that, and I coach different people on that as well. But when we knowingly and willingly cause harm to ourselves and others, when we have the mechanisms to do the opposite, to support a higher, greater potential of ourselves, then something needs to change. And so, again, when that came in, that relationship with spirit, with guides that were coming in on a continuous basis, showing me things, it was unmistakable. And when I stopped denying that and stopped holding it back, I stopped denying my sensitivity and embraced it rather as one of my superpowers instead of a weakness as a man. A whole new world opened up, and I felt completely free from the mechanisms that I felt held back from before, but I didn't know why. And again, it was unmistakable, and my whole life changed because of that.
So your whole life changed because of that.
Yeah.
I sense that it wasn't just an awakening. The awakening wasn't just expansive. It required some loss and massive recalibration. What did your awakening ask you to grieve? Not spiritually, but relationally or identity wise. How did you integrate that? Like you said, you had kids that were like, why are you going to Whole Foods? It's 30 minutes away, which I can totally relate to
Yeah.
because I lived about 45 minutes, an hour away from the Whole Foods in North Carolina one summer, and I would go there at least 3 times a week. So what did you have to grieve, and how did you recalibrate from that?
Yeah, it's looking back, I don't really think that I wasn't grieving my external circumstances. My my marriage collapsed, but my
Okay.
marriage should have collapsed years before. It's just I didn't
Mm.
want to face what was really there head on. And circumstances arose that there was just I couldn't stick my head in the sand anymore. And I
Mhm.
had to be with the truth that was rather than try to interpret it a certain way because it was more comfortable that way. Um, the way I see it now, and even as I was experiencing it back then, I really saw alignment rather than loss. I saw the
Mhm.
alignment of the disruption of our relationship pattern in the way that we had held it, because in some ways we were holding each other back by trying to hold on to something that we weren't meant to hold on to it anymore. Um, I know from a relational standpoint that everything that occurred in the marriage up to that point and through the divorce and the separation was all divinely inspired because we were meant to hold each other and guide each other through the 18 years that we were together. And at that
Yeah.
point, it was time to go in different directions. The day I got married, the day of my wedding, and this is an example of the attunement that I already had within me, and we all have it. I was just really wired to hear it for some reason. The day of our wedding, at the reception, I'm walking around and I had family come in from Colombia, from New York, and we got married in Houston, from Miami. It's a big wedding, about 150 people. We're having a great time. I was so happy. And I'm walking through the reception, and all of a sudden I break out this cold sweat. It's like, what is
Mm.
happening? And I hear a voice, go find a room to sit down in by yourself. It's like, okay, this is weird. I think I'm going to listen to this. And so I work my way around the restaurant where the reception was. I find the general manager's office. The door was closed. There was a sign in there and it was unlocked. So I opened the door, flipped the light switch on, closed the door behind me, sat in this big leather back chair, made myself comfortable. And the second I sat down and got comfortable, this voice comes in and says, you're going to be married 18 years.
Mm.
Who is this? What? Who is this? You're going to be married 18 years. I heard it again. It's like, well, what am I supposed to do? Annul the marriage? Stop it now? I'm in love. There's no way that it's like, I don't know what you want from me. Um, and that's all I heard. Nothing. And the feeling went away. I gathered myself again and went back out to the party like nothing happened. And um, it never really came up for me until right before when we started the journey of starting to separate. It was becoming obvious that that was coming through. And I asked for our separation, which I knew was the end of our marriage without question, 1 week before our 18th year anniversary.
Mm.
It's crazy. It's crazy.
Yeah.
But those things kept rising up as guidance, whether it's higher self, spirit, our future self talking to us now and us tuning into that. Um, we can attribute it to so many different things, but these points of intelligence that we would call intuition or guidance, um, they're available to all of us. It's just how do we learn to listen and tune our dial in to become more proficient and more precise in the way that we can have that two directional relationship with it.
And so it's so great that you brought this up because, many people sense there's more, but they
Mm.
don't know how to access it in everyday life. What does awakening actually look like when you still have the bills and relationships and the responsibilities? And if you have a partner that you love deeply, and you have this firm belief that you want to be with them forever. How does that look like with staying grounded in life?
I think we all have different journeys in different ways. And if we know our relational dynamic, and the thing is, we have to trust what's alive in our heart and what's true. And the way to really tune into that intelligence, as we're calling it right now, it's we have to get to a point where we have to start rewiring our limiting beliefs. And that's really an aspect of what comes through. Because if we're holding, I don't deserve to be loved, or I'm not a priority, or my emotions don't count, or I can't be a success, then you're going to hold a certain container of what you're available to receive.
Say that again. Say that again. So it really, really lands for people. If you have a limiting belief,
It creates a limited container in which we create our worlds from. We believe that we can't, if you will, color outside the boxes from that container, because the the energy and the investment that we put into spiritually, energetically, physically, and emotionally into that container is powerful. We are powerful beings. We're amazing creators. A lot of people are used to creating in that particular container and to use all their life force in there. And so we have to be able to formulate something that is outside of the containers which society have taught us, whether there was trauma that caused us to shut down and make us believe that we weren't a priority, or that it wasn't safe to express ourselves, whether it was a religious upbringing, whether it was the educational system or the regions that we grew up in. It's we all get affected by a collective that gets passed down through culture. And so what's outside of that culture isn't everything, but we're led to believe that it's everything. And it creates a box that limits our potential, that tells us that we're supposed to be something so that the culture can survive. But if we don't survive in it, then the culture is really limited in its survival mechanism anyway. We get to a point where everything is controlled, and we see right now where all these control structures are trying to come in to dictate a narrative of how we're supposed to live. But so many people are awakening to something deeper in their heart, and they're saying, wait, I understand that the structures have to be in place, but there's something beyond that other than what's being shared with us. And so again, we're during these times right now, compared to 25 years ago when I first stepped into this, we have more access to greater perspectives outside of what we've been taught, and we're learning how to navigate different realities and different people's truth to decide what we're going to take on as our own, and then bring in the possibility of what's beyond the ordinary in me right now. If my sensitivity is too much for other people, if my saying that I need to meditate and get still is too woo-woo for my friends, but it's something that calls on me, what in me is willing to go beyond the ordinary to step into something that wants to express itself that I don't have to define right now? It doesn't have to be an X, Y, or Z down the road. It's just a consciousness that is coming through that wants me to paint with it, that wants me to form art with it somehow. And if we can just open up to the possibility of that, then we find that those tight knots that are in our system, again, those limiting beliefs that are wired in our neural pathways, they have an opportunity to start loosening up so that we can start feeding the new neural pathways with a different belief structure that expands our possibilities rather than contracts it.
That was so delicious. I love that. Thank you. That was
Yeah.
so good. That was so good. That's amazing. And so on point. Because that's what limiting beliefs do. They keep you in a box and they keep you from expanding outside of it. But the way that you just described it was spectacular. Thank you for that. What do you think is one of the biggest misconceptions about a spiritual awakening that if you could, you would gently dismantle, because you're so gentle in your approach, John. That, I have to say, that's one thing that I've always loved about your show, is how gentle you are in your approach. And so if you could gently dismantle a misconception that most people have about a spiritual awakening, what would that be?
Oh God, there's a few. First of all, nobody has to be wrong for somebody to be right.
Mm,
So
facts.
so if you're awakening and your desire to connect with spirit, to channel archangels that may guide you because you're connected to them somehow, it's like that they're just, there's something about archangels that I'm interested in. I don't know why I have these pendants on my necklace and on my bracelets all the time, but there's something there. If there's something about a physical practice, whether it's yoga or working out or something that puts you in a state of Zen, that's that's a calling that's connecting us into a center of an intelligence that's available to us. To say that is spiritual turns a lot of people off, because then it's like, oh, well, it's woo woo. Well,
Yeah.
it's weird. It's weird that you're connecting in that way to something outside of you, and then you're sharing all this language, which is weird to me. It's uncomfortable because it's other people think it's uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And the truth is, more people would prefer to share that, but they hold it in. They're not willing to come out of the spiritual closet. But let's get away from the word spirituality if that's what makes it uncomfortable. But the
Mm,
truth is that everything that we do in this world is spiritual.
yeah.
How can it not be?
Not be. Yeah.
How can it not? Everything is also scientific. We're chemistry, we're alchemy coming together. So one doesn't function without the other in this manifestation.
And everything is frequency. Our bodies are vibrating at a frequency constantly. Our cells are vibrating, everything within us. Yeah.
I mean, science talks about it. Albert Einstein talks about quantum freakiness. Quantum science calls it quantum freakiness because they can't describe why certain things function a certain way, but they just do.
Right.
So why can I tune into spirit? Why can I hear messages? Why can I see energy around people? Why can I tell you about something that happened in your past, what's coming up for you, and information that is coming from either spirit or a loved one for you? It's a frequency that I've somehow wired to tune into. I've given myself permission to tune into. I don't carry it egoically like this defines who I am and I'm more powerful, or I earn love or adoration because I can do this. I step out of the way and I'm in the innocence of receiving the awe and wonder that I spoke about earlier. I'm willing to, all right, let me go beyond the ordinary because I don't know what's coming through. And I'm willing to receive that grace of that awe or the wonder that really acts as a catalyst for the liberation of wherever that contraction, the limitation is, wherever we believe that we are outside of divinity, outside of a love that permeates everything, but that we deny within ourselves for whatever strange reason it is that we do that. Why? I don't know, but we all do it.
Yeah, everyone does it at times. I
Yeah.
mean, I have to admit, I'm getting so good about just loving myself.
Nice.
Like,
That's,
yeah, like, like if my
how could
kids
you
say,
not? How could you
yeah,
not? I mean, look
how
at
could
you,
I not? I was
right?
brought into, I chose this human experience. I chose it. So how could I not love it and love myself in it?
You know what a barometer for that is? And I talk to my audience about this all the time. Um, if you know what your foundation really is, some people's foundations are about manipulating and getting something for themselves at the cost of someone else.
Mm,
And they're aware of it. Some people aren't, but I say most people are aware of it at a certain level. And so if we're functioning from that level, it's like, all right, how do I what type of relationships I really want to have. Do I really want to serve other people? And do I want to be loved and love simultaneously? I would say that most of the people, if not all the people listening right now, certainly the people in my community, their foundation is I just want to love. It's
Yeah.
how can I help someone else? How can I help myself? How can I make my world a better place so that I can enjoy it? And in my enjoyment, it ripples out that other people get to enjoy it as well. And if that foundation, if you're aware that that's love and not of manipulation, or even if you inch a little bit into manipulation, but it's not, it's just something that's taught, then you have a basis of really building something and tuning in that's really clean and opens up for you. And if you're aware that that foundation is that love, how could you not love yourself?
Right.
How could you not think how amazing you are? How can you diminish any part of yourself that would tell you that you're not enough, that you're not a priority, that you don't belong, that you're not worthy of success? It stops to exist, not from a vanity point of view, but
Right.
it's just the truth of the illumination of light and love that you actually are, but that we deny within ourselves.
Yeah. That is so on point.
Mm.
How how would you recommend if someone wants to really connect with their intuition or even their soul self? I mean, I know how I do it, but how do you do it as a man? Like, I mean, I feel like men have a lot to contribute. And so how do you do that? What are your thoughts on that?
Well, first of all, it's to really acknowledge where you really feel things and you notice things and not deny them, not bypass them because someone might take it the wrong way or you're afraid it's going to be wrong. Just play with what you know. I think playing with information that is comes to us is so important because we loosen up, not make it so serious all the time. Where if we make a mistake with something, someone's going to interpret something and then we're wrong. And if we're wrong, then we're not worthy. And, it just trickles down into the whole limiting belief things. So to open up into the way that you are particularly sensitive and tuned into either other people, to nature, to animals, to food, to exercise, and to really allow yourself just to be and to receive and give back without any agenda. Just play with the exchange. Just play with it.
Mm,
And that just opens up a permission that you relax, that you become more available in the relaxing to the stimulus that's coming through. We do it with relationships. If you're married, you opened up to your spouse, you relaxed into the field that you said yes, and there was a communication that started to take place through the intimacy of opening yourself. If we open ourselves to the intimacy of the stimulus that we're receiving in the way that we receive it, I is extremely empathic and extremely sensitive. When I stop denying the sensitivity, my empathic capacity, because I was being ostracized for it. You're
hmm
too sensitive. You feel too much. It's like, and I finally said, you know what? I do feel too much. I'm extremely sensitive. And you may not like it because I'm feeling everything that you're projecting, but I can't deny it anymore. And the second I did that, it's like a whole new world opened up for me. And again, it's not denying what brings us that internal peace for the sake of getting something else. It's being open to going deeper with it is that brings us that peace without
Yeah.
agenda or without thinking that it has to become something so that, or that someone might interpret it the wrong way because it's calling us. We really need to stop denying ourselves, and that's really one of the keys of liberation and opening up this capacity
Mm,
to tune in and hear more clearly um, worlds that are available to us that we've shut down.
yeah. You know, we're living in a time, you said peace, and peace made me think, and that's part of opening up, like really feeling liberated is feeling at peace. And we're living in a time that there's heightened anxiety and collective uncertainty. And to be honest, the world's always experienced that. Like I'm not saying now is more than before, and maybe it is. Who knows? If someone is feeling heightened anxiety and a collective uncertainty, what do you see energetically happening right now? Because there's always an upgrade in the collective that's happening. There's always, people that are coming on board to becoming more conscious, taking steps to higher consciousness. What are you seeing right now with all the contact that you have with people?
Well, let's take it back about 10 years,
Okay.
maybe even 15 years, where there's like this movement of consciousness that started to get more popular. It's 25 years ago, you couldn't say the word meditation on television.
No.
The sponsors would go away and all the money would go with it for those particular
Yeah.
programs. You couldn't say it. It was banned.
Yeah.
When I started the show, we had channels and psychics and people were talking about light language and ascension.
I loved it. Oh my God, I loved it.
5 dimensions and galactic entities and information and angelics coming in with more information for awakening. And there's a movement. There's like all of a sudden, like all these psychics and channels and light language people start coming out of the woodworks. There's like just a flood of people who became available, and a lot of them have been on a lot of different people who are just so talented and just such great teachers, embodied teachers, hold the consciousness of what's available, of unlocking that potential. But what that wave started creating is it started creating an awareness collectively of where we're tuning into this gift of empathy that we're all wired for. That there, unless you're chemically altered in such a way that you can't really feel, we're all empaths, and we go through stages of empathy and maturation of how we tune into others. So perhaps we feel empathy in such a way that there's a lot of aggressiveness and and you feel someone else. And so like me, you try to become like your environment. It's a survival mechanism through that empathy. And how do I navigate this through this feeling? And then action based on that feeling that can be very reptilian, if you will. It comes from a very survival type of place. Then there's another level of empathy that starts coming in, and sensitivity, where we start realizing that, hold on a second, the cause and effect of what I'm feeling is really emanating from me. You become more aware of your environment and then your reaction to it. The next level of empathy that shows up is like you're aware of what you're feeling, but you take responsibility for what it is and how your world is created around your response to your environment. And so the surge of what we're feeling now, and a lot of anxiety, a lot of nervousness that's coming in through the collective field, is we're feeling a lot of people coming into, if you will, their own spiritual or consciousness expansion in ways that they haven't experienced before, they haven't learned, because this wave is starting to take form. It's infiltrating our airwaves. It's like the latest avatar. They're blowing plant medicine up their nose in ceremony that if anybody's been into the jungles of Peru, been in any type of ceremonial experience like that, they're aware it's something that we've been doing for a while as an expansionary state of consciousness. It's just a tool that facilitates just enough presence to open something up. So the best thing to do is to acknowledge that something inside of you is awakening. And it feels like something is breaking down. It makes us anxious because what has kept us comfortable, not necessarily safe, but what has kept us comfortable, is falling apart. And a lot of people are reacting to things that are falling apart. We see things falling apart, but they're falling apart gracefully. We can say that the economic systems are collapsing. We can say that societal norms are falling away and we don't know what's replacing it. We can say that we have environmental crisis at hand, but they're happening, really comparatively speaking, at a snail's pace because it's guiding us so that we can catch up and attune to it, but it's not being so compassionate that it's waiting for us to take our time. We're being pushed into an awakening of consciousness because we can't continue in the same way that we have before. There's too much harm that was caused by those cycles. And if we continue those cycles, then we're going to choose a destruction. And I don't think that I believe we're beyond that choice, but we're redefining who we are as individuals and collectively. And it's happening subconsciously because of what we're feeling collectively, because of our maturation energetically and consciously, and how much more we're capable of feeling now that we had or we taught ourselves to be numbed out from before. And we can't do that anymore. So we're more aware of how connected we are to more things around us than how separate we are from them. We try to separate to protect, but that's not the solution. We really have to open up and listen and be willing to walk with the truth that's being revealed, rather than to try to believe something that's going to keep the old paradigm alive that can't survive.
What do you see the role of the nervous system in that? Like how do we tend to it during all of this?
Well, it's really tough because a lot of the things that we rely on right now from technology are addictive.
Right.
They're addictive. They are created so that we consume it.
Right.
And so just to be aware that whenever you're on social media, that little screen that you're looking at is more than just a phone. It's a mechanism to drive your attention in a particular way. It's consumerism. Right. We can say that there's Big Brother in the background and there's those in power that want to stay in power and control. And I would tell you, it's just consumerism driving a narrative so that we side with it so it can continue to grow. Any organism would do that for its own survival. And just rather than blaming it and saying those are the bad guys, it's like, no, this is an organism that's trying to survive and thrive, and it'll do so at my expense. Good to know that. Good to know that. Now, what type of relationship do I want to have with that organism? Hold on a second. Let me just tune in a little bit. So if I pick this phone up for 20 minutes today and scroll for 20 minutes, how about tomorrow I put on a timer and I just do 10 minutes?
Yeah.
How about I just and then what do I do in those 10 minutes? I don't know what to do with myself for 10 minutes. Yeah, your whole neurology is trying to recalibrate and rebalance, and you are going to go through withdrawal symptoms. We have developed a codependent relationship with this intelligence.
Yeah.
We used to have codependent relationships with religion.
Right.
A lot of our parents had dynamics where their relationship was extremely codependent, whereas very masculine and very feminine. Those roles had to be defined, and they were addicted to those roles. This is just an expansion of that codependency and our addiction to particular roles, but we're losing ourselves in the process. We can say our mothers lost themselves, our fathers lost themselves through those particular identifications. Then they had maybe a crisis that came up and they didn't know what to do with it. And so they lashed out against each other. There's a lot of resentment and condemnation and contempt, but they still stayed together because they didn't know how to release those patterns or grow through it together. And now I would say this technology is an acceleration of that, but in different form, because it's also taken away true intimacy.
Yes.
And so we're getting more mechanical with it. We're getting more artificial with it. And it's taking us to the edge of that place of artificial because we're going to feel it so drastically, either because we're experiencing the void, the emptiness. That's part of what happens during the existential crisis when we decide, hey, we need to search for something beyond the career and just the kids. And the kids have grown. I'm an empty nester now. Now what's left to life?
Yeah.
Money and the house and the clothes that I buy and all the trips that I take aren't, they're not filling this void anymore. Now what?
Mm-hmm.
We're getting to the point where the artificial intelligence, if we really tune in, can't fill the void. And that's why we're getting to shorter bursts of attention spans because let me give you the quick love hit so that you keep coming back. And eventually it's not going to be enough.
Yeah.
And so for people who are awakening and people who are becoming more sensitive and aware of their sensitivity, it's powerful because we start choosing different stimulus. We start choosing more presence and a deeper intimacy with friendship, with purpose, with our connection to the divine. For those people who aren't attuned to that, we're going to see a lot of crisis coming up. We're going to see a lot of people bridging or on the edge of the perimeter of poverty consciousness. We're going to see a lot of people suffering through a lot of loneliness, feeling left out, not belonging. We're going to see people reaching for different things, and no matter what they achieve, it's going to fall short, and it'll create a lot of crisis. And so there's a redefinition of what's happening because it's all calling us to just pause long enough so that we can feel what's happening through the nervous system, not avoid it, but really stop into the feeling of it so that we can allow the energy to move through us so that we can create something with that energy. When we're children, we're taught not to feel.
Mm-hmm.
We're taught not to feel. It's like you're upset about something, you start crying, don't cry. And so you hold the crying. And so we stop the energy that's coming up. We stop it at our knees. If we have a sexual impulse as a child, that's inappropriate, that's wrong. It's like, okay, you stop it at your gut. If you have a burst of rage that's coming through, you start throwing a tantrum. No, you can't have a rage. You're wrong. You get punched for it. You get thrown in the corner. You need to calm down. The energy as children, we're taught to stop it short in our bodies instead of giving it the space to intelligently run through us, not erratically. That's what adults are there for, so they can hold the container for the safety of things to flow through us without destruction happening, without causing harm to ourselves and to others. But we're so ingrained in stopping those feelings so that we can be appropriate for the circumstance that we deny the intelligence of that energy within our physical being, which then affects our energetic being, which then affects our ability to connect to something outside of the box that's been created for us.
Yeah, and that affects our nervous system.
Absolutely. We wire our nervous system based on those continual habits.
Yeah.
And so, again, how do we help the nervous system? Pause. Get off of devices just for a while. Just take you know, if you're on your computer all day long, if you have your phone always with you, just turn it off. Just turn it off. Go out in nature. Sit and just you have to meditate. People call it meditation. What people call meditation is actually a manipulation, because let me meditate so I can be peaceful. You're trying to manipulate a certain outcome.
And I laugh because that is so true. I tell people it's not about an outcome.
Right.
It's not about an outcome.
Just be still.
It's about being still. And if your mind can't be still, it's about giving compassion to yourself to just sit there and be and not feel as if you have to go, go, go.
Right.
So,
A tip that I want to share with everybody. So when I drop in and meditate, quote unquote, um, I'll get into a place where I try to be as still as I can be. And I like sitting cross-legged with my hands on my lap, palms up. Just breathe in, long inhale in. You can do box breathing for those of you all familiar, but basically you can breathe in 4, 5, 6 seconds, long inhale in, hold 4, 5, or 6 seconds at the top, exhale for 5, hold at the bottom for 5, and then just repeat over and over again. Try to do it for at least 3 rounds. More is better if it calls you. But if the mind starts coming in and thoughts are just flooding the field, a couple of things that you can do is whenever a thought comes in, if you have your palms raised or on your, face up, just flip over one palm. It interrupts the brain. It interrupts the circuit, and it puts you back in stillness. And this is you working with your chemistry. It's a somatic experience, and you're signaling the brain that you've received what it was trying to tell you. Super easy. None of it's difficult. It's just we're not taught these practices. We're taught that we have to run or that we have to achieve something while we're in stillness. But that's not real presence. Again, like I say, that's manipulation. We're trying to manipulate a particular outcome. And whenever we work so hard to do that, we disallow the organic ability that we have to get into that state without tremendous effort. We don't have to work so hard at this. We just have to understand what's available to us so that we can rewire and repattern the limiting beliefs that are coming through and how we get to that place of stillness that we're seeking. And know that it's always a journey. It's always a journey of awe and wonder. What's coming up today? I don't know. Sometimes I can see sparkly lights and colors and connect to guides, and other times I'm just like I'm doing my taxes.
Doing my taxes.
Right. It's like, okay.
Right. That is so true. What gives you the most hope about humanity right now?
People like you. People like all of us. It's just truly, there's so much good and so much love in this world. There's so much good in this world. It's my experience. People that come on the show, we take live questions, the teachers that come up, the intention of why people show up. It's so beautiful. I live on Hawaii. There's amazing community here. You see people coming together and dancing and having tea ceremony together and going out onto the beach and hanging out with family. And life is beautiful. Life is beautiful. And again, just feeling how we're all really being guided to a maturation of consciousness. And it's happening through the youngest of us that are here. I see it in my grandson and the way he carries himself. He's only 4 years old, and his open heart. I see it through people I experience from the show. They're like 90 years old and still exploring their consciousness and want to work on their limiting beliefs. But where I want to do something with my purpose. I'm so inspired by people, truly. This world is absolutely amazing. And, the beauty I get to experience is my willingness to be present with the beauty that surrounds me at any given moment. My life is not lacking in beauty. It's just, where am I not paying attention to it? And that's on me. That's not on the world.
And I just heard the rooster, which I absolutely love. It praised you whenever you said that.
Yeah.
I spent about 3 weeks in Kauai, and I learned how to do the rooster really well.
We coexist really beautifully, yes.
Yeah. Okay. So last question, John. I am in immense gratitude for you coming on and sharing your wisdom. Thank you so much. If you could offer one piece of collective guidance for hearts listening right now, what would it be?
Oh my God. Please dare to be weird. Dare to hear the things that you're capable of hearing. Dare to just open up to experiences that are available to you without, don't worry about the judgment. Just please just be you. Be you. And if there's anywhere that you find that you're judging any part of that, just slow down and just be curious why that information would want to come through you rather than pushing it away. It's like really play with it, be weird with it, have fun with it, explore. It's like, well, I don't have anybody to talk about, or my husband or my wife doesn't receive it, or my kids think it's going to be weird, or it's the other people don't understand the languaging. It's okay. You can either invite them or you'll find communities like this community that's here that we all have our piece of that puzzle of the collective awakening, and everybody has their own unique piece, and every piece is necessary for the puzzle to be complete. So don't diminish the truth that's being activated through you. It's like your love and the expression of that truth. That's what's going to heal the world.
Yeah. John, thank you so much for coming on. That was beautiful. Just be you and dare to hear and see and live it. I love that. So tell people, like, if they want to work with you, how can they work with you? Because, or you can also listen to Beyond the Ordinary show. It comes on Monday through Friday, right? It's
Tuesday, 3 times a week. Tuesday, Thursday,
three times.
Wednesdays.
So now it's only Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday.
Yeah.
It used to be Monday through Friday, didn't it?
I go through different seasons, but I get
Okay.
energetically at the end of the season, I find that I'm taxed because I do care. We do hold a lot of space.
You do. You hold so much space.
And so there's a lot that comes through. But I also I host a membership platform. So quite a few years back, I used to coach people individually before I started the show, and I stopped completely for about 6 years. And I heard very clearly that it was time to start offering one-on-one sessions again, but on a very limited basis because I run the show. So it's like, all right, maybe I can take on 4, 5, 6 clients a month, but no more than that because I'm booked. But how do I only offer that? And how about the rest of the community? Or how about for people who can't financially access it? They're just because it's a time exchange also in a currency exchange. So I was guided to start a membership platform where I basically share the same things I share on one-on-one sessions, except it's in a group format. So I started the Living in the Extraordinary Community Light, which is a membership platform. It's $39 a month. I show up 4 times a month for 90 minutes a call. And
oh, wow.
I
90 minutes a call.
Yeah.
$39 a month, 4 times a month, and it's 90 minutes. That is so cheap. You need to raise your prices.
I wanted to make it accessible, and it's
accessible.
A sweet
I totally
community.
Understand.
And I wanted to be able to take live questions from the members, and also have the members interact with each other. And honestly, it was a platform for me to grow and share from my own personal experiences, because we really integrate what we're learning and what we're assimilating as we share it with other people and put it on. It's one thing to interview people, even to co-create with speakers on the show. It's another thing to really show up and guide and lead from what's been embodied as an offering of love and wisdom for anybody who it might resonate for. So it's an amazing community. It's been 6 years now with the membership community.
Oh, wow. That's
so
amazing.
If anybody wants to join me there, it's wonderful, and you'll love the people that are there.
And we will put that in the show notes for this. So you guys can have a link to that in the show notes. John, your presence means so much to me. And if you would have told me back in 2014, 2015, that I would have the opportunity to interview you, I would have been like, get out. No, that's amazing. But, yeah, I am in immense gratitude for your wisdom and so grateful for all the work that you do and you have done for the last uh, 12 years since I
Yeah.
listened to the show. 11 years. I started listening in 2014. So I'll never forget. It was like May 2014. And
Wow.
I was just, yeah, I was laying in my bed with my eyes closed, just listening to the show. And I was like, wow, this is really, really good. So, thank you so much for sharing your wisdom, for your time. And if you guys like this episode, please hit the like button, share it, comment. And we are in immense gratitude for you being here today. Thank you so much.
Thank you, everybody. Honored to be here with you, Charla. Thank you.
Thank you.